Hi, and welcome to Terry Talks Movies, and this is Science Fiction Saturday once more. So let's do some science fiction. These ones are newie, so from 2025, they're still in cinemas here. The first one is M3gan 2.0, the continuation of the story of the killer but loving android, and the second one is the latest in the Jurassic series, Jurassic World Rebirth, starring Scarlett Johansson and a whole bunch of artificial lizards. But we'll start with the first one. M3gan 2.0. First movie did gangbuster business. It was incredible how viral that movie went. It's a story of a woman called Gemma, who's a roboticist who creates a child-minding companion android called M3gan and uses her niece, Katie, as the guinea pig for testing out this new technology in child sitting. Things don't go well except in the box office. The movie went viral. It went crazy. Dancing killer android little girls were a big thing a couple of years ago. And so we've got a second movie now directed by Gerald Johnston called M3gan 2.0. And this one has an interesting arc to it because they actually did a bait and switch on the audience in this second one and put the movie in a different genre than pure slasher gory horror. Though to be fair, the first one was a horror comedy, but it came out in two versions. The first one was less gory. Second one, which is the one I got on Blu-ray, came out really gory, and I was there for that. I prefer the second version because if you're going to do a horror movie, get out the claret. Give us a little bit of blood and guts. Give us a little bit of ick, ha ha ha, and we'll be happy as an audience. The second one went different. It became a techno thriller about the perils of AI, much more than it was a horror movie. And why does my voice sound like that? And that's where, to a certain extent, the movie lost its audience, and it hasn't done as well as the first movie. But that's kind of interesting too. I'll give you a bit of a plot synopsis, and then we'll talk about why it went wrong. And it doesn't mean it's not entertaining, because indeed it is, but why it went wrong by changing the movie away from customers' expectations and what the studio did about that when it happened. So it's 2 years after M3gan went rogue, and Gemma has become a spokesperson for the perils of AI. She does a lot of speeches. She's one of the leading people talking about AI being dangerous because she's got first-hand knowledge of it. She's kind of started a relationship with an AI security guy called Christian. She's written a book, but things have moved on in those technologies in the 2 years since M3gan went wild. There's a new kid on the block, and her name is Amelia, which stands for Autonomous Military Engagement, Logistics, and Infiltration Android. An android that looks like a person, in this case a young woman played by Ivana Sanko, is basically a cute Terminator. Amelia is sent on a mission to grab a scientist away from an enemy country, and instead she plugs the scientist through the eye. She's gone rogue, and she's disappeared. And so the American government, movies like this are touching very lightly on the government angle in the current political climate. They're not going too deep into that. They try to get Gemma and her team to help with the Amelia problem. And to do that, they've got to resurrect M3gan. Little Katie, who has grown up for 2 years, thinks it's a good idea because she's bonded with the original M3gan. Gemma's very reluctant to, because she doesn't want to be responsible for another killer android. And there's a new player, an Elon Musk kind of character called Alton Appleton, played by Jermaine Clement, who is really interested in biomechanics and android technology. He shares a lot of the less salubrious personality traits with Elon Musk. What Gemma doesn't know is that M3gan's been there all along. She backed herself up to the smart home that Gemma rents, and she is still in the world and has been doing things for the last 2 years. But from all appearances, M3gan has matured. She's learned that you can't protect Katie by destroying everybody around her and by going total mad and killing people. And so she's found different ways to protect Katie and to protect Gemma, because Gemma is important to Katie. And so we end up with a battle between Amelia and Megan. But there's more to Amelia than meets the eye. There are things about her that nobody knows. And so we get the boss battle. We get to find out what's happening with Amelia, why she went rogue. It's basically turned it, rather than a horror movie, into a techno thriller. And that bait and switch pissed off horror movie fans because they wanted a pure horror movie, whereas this one is a little more Terminator 2 and a little less blood, guts, and chopping Ronnie Cheng to death. So the movie got released on the 24th of June this year, and it did money, but it didn't do great money. It didn't get anywhere near the viral oomph that the original movie got. And this movie being a Blumhouse joint, Jason Blum is the head of that studio. And Jason Blum said some interesting things in an interview, which I really like. I like the fact that he took ownership of the stuff up of this potentially long-running franchise, which may no longer be a long-running franchise. Here's what Jason Blum said. We all thought Megan was like Superman. We could do anything with her. We could change genres. We could put her in the summer. We could make her look different. We could turn her from a bad guy into a good guy. And we classically overthought how powerful people's engagement was with her. So they misread the audience, essentially. And so they flipped the genres, turned it into a techno thriller about the perils of AI and the perils of very, very wealthy people, particularly men. And so in changing that genre, they lost what the audience wanted for the Megan franchise, which isn't to say it's a bad movie. It is a good movie on its own terms. It's got all the techno stuff in it. It's got Megan dancing. It's got some very, very crisp action scenes all over the place. Two embodied AIs going after each other is always fun. I'm always going to enjoy a decent, well put together and well choreographed action scene. I'm there for that kind of stuff. And I wasn't as engaged with Megan as a horror movie character, a short, cute Freddy Krueger. I wasn't there for that. I wasn't that invested in it on those terms. So I could accept the fact that it was what it was. The actors know their character. We've got Violet McGraw playing Katie. She does very well. Alison Williams playing Gemma gives the character the changes it needs from after the events in the first movie. Amy Donald, who does the physical stuff for Megan, is good. And Jenna Davis doing the voice of Megan is great. I think this is an interesting movie to study because of that flip the studio did with the genre of the movie. Giving the audience something different than they expected can work sometimes, but it's not going to work all the time. So this is a competent techno thriller with humor thrown in, though the humor isn't quite as grounded as the first one. The script wasn't written by David Koepp, who wrote the first screenplay for Megan. She co-wrote it with Gerald Johnston, the director. I'm not sure how much input she had into that, because David Koepp is a fine screenwriter and a fine writer. And it doesn't seem to have that secret sauce that she brought to the first one. So overall, I enjoyed the film. I didn't love it the way I loved the first one. The first one had enough craziness and enough out there to make it something very special. And I think part of that secret sauce is horror. The gore, the blood, the guts, all those things that horror movie fans are drawn to, like flies to a pork chop. All that stuff was missing, but on its own terms, enjoyed it. Go in there with your expectations tuned down just a little bit. And if you like the first one, chances are, knowing that the second one is a techno thriller rather than a straight up horror movie, you can have a good time with it. So I saw that one on Tuesday. Yesterday, I saw Jurassic World Rebirth, the upteenth in the Jurassic movies. This one directed by Gareth Edwards. And Gareth Edwards made Creator, which is a fantastic movie, which used a lot of real-world locations and found interesting and innovative ways to mix them with CG technologies to tell a science fictional story, which indeed this is. The script is by David Koepp, who's got such a long track record of making banger science fiction movies. Just look him up on IMDb, you're going to see a whole bunch of films that he's involved with, including one or two of the earlier Jurassic movies. Good screenwriter. This is another movie that's got a weird audience reaction from my point of view. The story is fairly simple. On another secret island, and there must be about 20 of them around the world where dinosaur stuff happened, there's a secret base where they're basically genetically manipulating and crossing species of the dinosaurs. And then about 12 years ago, shit hit the fan. One of the big mutated dinosaurs escaped, the island was abandoned, and it was left to the creations that were made by essentially mad scientists. There's an interesting bit of product placement right at the start too, which is not the usual kind of product placement we get. So we zip pan 12 years to the future in the current day in this alternate universe with dinosaurs. Don't quite rule the earth because all the dinosaurs that escaped in the previous movies aren't doing well in temperate and Arctic environments in everywhere but the tropical areas of the earth. They're dying off. This conditions aren't right for these dinosaurs. And so the dinosaurs that spread across the world in the lesser Chris Jurassic movies are dying off. There's a traffic jam in a city where one of the dinosaurs that's in the zoo has escaped. And because it's one of the enormous ones, like Fred Flintstone sliding down the back kind of dinosaur, it's dying in the middle of traffic on a heavy freeway, which is kind of a cute conceit. But it's sad. They're basically rebooting the Jurassic franchise by saying, we're going to get the dinosaurs out of human inhabited environments because that's less interesting than having humans go into a dinosaur inhabited environment. We've got a billionaire farmer guy, played by Rupert Friend, who's found out that there's something in the DNA of very, very large dinosaurs, which has the potential to create a cure for heart disease. Because these beasts have enormous hearts, and there's something in their DNA that may well cure heart disease. And so this farmer guy wants to go and get the DNA from 3 of the largest dinosaurs that ever existed, bring it back, create a miracle drug that cures heart disease. So there's your purpose for going to the dinosaur island. This farmer guy hires a specialist in black ops, a woman called Zora, played by Scarlett Johansson. They hire a paleontologist called Henry, played by Jonathan Bailey, to go with them and help them get the DNA. They need some blood samples out of these enormous dinosaurs. And they've got syringes you shoot out of rifles. And then when the blood is filled in the syringe takes off in a rocket and then parachutes down to Earth. So Zora and her team go to the tropical area where this dinosaur island is, hook up with the friend Duncan, played by Mahershala Ali, who has a boat and a team, and they're going to go to the island, get the DNA out of these dinosaurs. They need one that's land-based, they need one from the ocean, which is the Mosasaurus, and they need one flying dinosaur, which in this case is the size of a fighter jet. Meanwhile, a number of kilometers off the island, there is a family who are sailing across the Atlantic and who encounter a school of Spinosauruses that are swimming in the oceans around this island. The Spinosauruses capsize their yacht. They're left sitting on the upturned hull and send out a radio message, which the team heading towards the island find. They go and rescue these people off their boat, and that way you're getting the family to be imperiled by the dinosaurs. When they reach the island and start tracking the Mosasaurus to get its DNA, which they do successfully, the Spinosauruses start attacking the boat and they run aground. Everybody's trapped on the island. The family gets separated from the mercenaries, and the mercenaries go off to do their other 2 dinosaur blood sample things. While this family of a father, played by Manuel Garcia Rulfo, and his 2 daughters and one of the daughters' boyfriends who's totally useless, start heading towards where they know there's a heliport and a rescue. And that, of course, sets up the usual things we need in a Jurassic movie, which is dinosaur versus human set pieces that are exciting and thrilling and wonderful and use computer-generated and practical effects technologies. really, really well. And that's indeed what the movie delivers. The other thing is, even though other people like Mark Kermode have said that the character beats in the movie are kind of thin, I think they're a little more grounded and a little more there than the character beats you get in a lot of these movies. Zora, the Scarlett Johansson character, wants to get a big payday so she can stop doing what she's doing. A friend of hers died in a job they had in Yemen recently, and she hasn't had time to process that, and she's aware of that. And she talks it over with Duncan, the Mahershala Ali character. And these are professional special ops people, and they know that this is a dangerous job, and they both want to get out of it. But while they're in it, they know what to do, and they're professionals. They acknowledge their feelings about it. There's a lot of interesting character stuff that happens before we get to the island where the dinosaurs are. And I like that. I like the fact that Henry, the paleontologist, isn't as adept at a lot of things as the others, but he does have some chops. He knows how to abseil down a rope, for instance. He's not totally hopeless, even though he's been a paleontologist all his life. He's never seen a dinosaur in the wild. And there's a really great moment when he sees and touches his first dinosaur in the wild. The character beats hit well for me. I think that they were well grounded, and the time the movie takes to set up the character stuff is time well invested. There's also a subplot about the perils of Big Pharma, and if they do indeed get a drug that will cure heart disease, who gets to use it? That question's raised, and I think dealt with in a mature and effective way in the movie. Big Pharma is a big problem in certain parts of the world, and the movie acknowledges that and addresses it. So a lot of people have criticized this movie, saying it's more of the same. It's more of the same kind of stuff we've had in previous Jurassic movies. We've got a family in peril. We've got a team going to an unknown island of dinosaurs to do something. But that's the gig. That is the franchise. The franchise is people, dinosaurs, oh shit, they're coming after us. That's exactly what the movie is. That's exactly what the franchise is. That's exactly what the movie requires. And if all of that stuff wasn't in there, what do people expect? A dinosaur musical with the Green Witch? It's exactly what is required for a Jurassic movie. And it does it well. Gareth Edwards knows his stuff. He knows how to do the technologies. They use some fantastic locations in Thailand and off the coast of Malta in this movie. It doesn't look the same as the usual Hawaiian locations that previous Jurassic movies have used. The landscapes are different. The feel of the landscapes and the dinosaur habitats feels a lot different than just using that one ranch in the Hawaiian Islands. And I'm there for that. I think it's an honest piece of the franchise. And it's an honest reset for the timeline of the Jurassic movies. And in fact, Henry was a student of Alan Grant's, the Sam Neill character from the first movie. So there is a kind of continuity there. I enjoyed it. There were thrilling bits I liked. I liked the character beats. I think the actors did them well. I think the character beats were well written without being pathetic. And it worked for me. Special effects technology. There's a great set piece when the family find an inflatable raft and start taking it down a river with a rapids, only to find that there's a sleeping Tyrannosaurus Rex nearby, which wakes up when they inflate the raft and chases them down the rapids. Beautifully done. Fantastic set piece. I love it. The Mosasaurus bit where they're trying to put the syringe into the Mosasaurus. Really well made. Beautiful use of technology, beautiful use of drama. All the plot beats are there. It doesn't quite have the witty dialogue of previous entries in the franchise, but it's an honest summer in the Northern Hemisphere roller coaster ride movie. And if you can accept it as that, you're going to have a great time with it. Get your popcorn, get your drink. Just sit back and watch the big lizards chase people. That's the movie. That's the franchise. That's Jurassic Park, Jurassic World movies. And if you think it should have had more than that, tell me what you think it should have had. Because I enjoyed it. I don't think it's the greatest movie in the franchise, but I love the work of Gareth Edwards. And I think that I want to see what he does next on a big scale, because he's one of those directors who knows the genre of science fiction well. The creator showed that. And he also knows how to film action well, and better than perhaps anybody else. He really knows how to integrate locations with special effects photography. And that is the secret sauce in this movie. So that's what I got for you this time around. Killer androids and AI. And there's going to be a long discussion in cinema about the future of AI and about artificial general intelligences. Not just ChatGPT with this outboard motor on the back of it, but genuine artificial general intelligence is a concept that has a lot of use in cinema in the future. Thanks a lot for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please like, subscribe, hit the notification bell. Let me know whether you've seen these movies or whether you're going to, and what you thought of the genre flip in the first one, and what you thought about the soft reset of Jurassic World Rebirth. As always, like, subscribe, hit the notification bell. You can also support the channel by becoming a channel member or by becoming a patron at patreon.com/TerryTalksMovies. On Monday, my time, I've got the live stream, the fortnightly live stream. Going to talk about a lot of stuff in that. A lot of fun times. So that's going to happen at 7 a.m. my time on Monday, whatever time that is where you are. I'll put a schedule on the channel for that. And then we've got the Wednesday video where I think I've got a whole bunch of stuff from Imprint Films, including the 4K of Raging Bull to take a look at. So the week's covered nicely. So until all of that stuff happens, oh, by the way, on the other channel, upcoming, we've got the last 2 videos of my walk from Werribee to Melbourne. In the one that just released, I've got some footage of a 15-meter tall golden Chinese goddess that I passed on my walk. So go and check that one out. And the last video of that series is upcoming in a few days. So until all of that wonderful stuff happens, watch some good movies, watch some bad movies. It's the Northern Hemisphere's summer movie season. There's going to be a lot of good stuff upcoming. Have a lot of fun, a lot of discussion about that. Watch Superman when it comes out. Watch Fantastic Four First Flight when it comes out. And I'll catch you next time.